What's this? Okay, so we can jump over here. Let's get into some Trump stuff. I want to get into the gaggle. That's what they call it. This is a gaggle that Trump was in. I want to hear if he says anything of note, which he definitely will. He'll either say something that's noteworthy or he'll say something that's hilarious. One of the two. Let's see which one has better audio. Let's go to Forbes first.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Let's go to Fox.
Leaders. We have $1 billion trade deficit.
I think it might be Forbes this time.
Mr. President. Good. Any questions?
How was the golf tournament?
Nah, I think it's Fox. Fox always wins, I think.
When you look at the trade deficit that we have with certain countries, way over $1 billion per country. But with China, it's $1 trillion. And we have to solve our trade deficit with China. We have $1 trillion trade deficit with China. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year we lose with China. And unless we solve that problem, I'm not going to make a deal. Now, I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus. We have a tremendous deficit problem with China. They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year. I think it's like $1.1 trillion. And I want that solved. And no other president's taken it on. I had to take it on the last time, and then we had a rigged election. No other president's taken it on. And so China is, they say the market's spoken. China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right. They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus, that they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
Mr. President.
And we're talking about $1 trillion, you know that, right? We're not going to lose $1 trillion for the privilege of buying pencils from China.
On the idea of crashing the markets on purpose,
this guy said, we're not going to lose $1 trillion from buying pencils from China. Trump is the best, man. Yeah, he's like, what do we buy? Pencils? Erasers? I'd rather have an American-made pencil and eraser, okay? American pencils and erasers are what wrote the Declaration of Independence, okay? And pens as well. Oh, man, amazing. And I think he's going to get it done. I'm saying by next week, we're going to have a result in regards to China. They're trying to retaliate right now, and Trump already slapped them with another 50% on top of what he already gave them. I think they're just going to give in. They realize that they suckle from the US like crazy. They know that they can't just stop all trade with US. They know what that would do to them. They're not as big of a population as they once were, which could be good or bad in this situation, but they know that they need this money that the US provides. The world knows that. $20 trillion a year the United States of America consumes. Every country needs the US. They do. Like it or not.
There's been some speculation, partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social, that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off. Can you talk about that?
No, that's not so. But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations. And they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking. But otherwise, why would I want to talk? And as you know, because of the tariffs, we have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before. Biden had nothing coming in. This was a dead country with Biden. He didn't know what he was doing, and that's now been proven at least.
Trump, this weekend, you talked to a lot of leaders this weekend. Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world. They're dying to make a deal. But I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country. We're not going to do that, because to me a deficit is a loss. We're going to have surpluses, or we're at worst going to be breaking even. But China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big, and it's not sustainable. was elected on this. This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected, was exactly because of this. And we're going to put tariffs, we've already put them on. It's not a question of we will. We're going to put them on. And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion. In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States. In North Carolina, already furniture people are starting to move back in. In Detroit and Michigan, which I won, because of what I said, what I'm telling you, car companies are starting to open up. In Indiana, a big one is under construction, as an example, Honda. But they're moving in like nobody has ever seen this before. So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion. We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted. They're already in place. Now, what's going to happen with the market, I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger. And eventually, it'll be a country like no other. It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world,
Mr. President,
which is what it should be.
Is there a Trump put though? Is there pain in the market at some point? You're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I mean, I think it's I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
Oh, he's the best. Oh, he's the best. Give him a third term. Give him a fourth term. I think your question is so stupid. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He talks to these reporters. They're like they're his grandkids or something. I think your question is so stupid, okay? I'm not even going to answer it. I'll say what I need to say, but I'm not answering your question. It's dumb. It's low intelligence. Holy. Oh, bring it back. We got to bring it back.
Is there a Trump put though? Is there pain in the market at some point? You're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I mean, I think it's I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen. They took our businesses, they took our money, they took our jobs, they moved it to Mexico, they moved it to Canada, they moved a lot of it to China, and it's not sustainable. We're not going to do it. Now we have hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country on a monthly basis. It's pouring. It's already started because they put tariffs on, and eventually it's going to straighten out, and our country will be solid and strong again.
Elon Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe. Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us. You know, Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States. Europe has treated us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly. China has, but Europe has also. Europe has been very, very bad to us. Europe has taken our leaders for a ride. They don't take our cars. They don't take our food products. They don't take anything. And we take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. You know, we take their millions of cars. They take no cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. Europe's treated us very badly. We put a big tariff on Europe. They are coming to the table. They want to talk. But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis. Number one for present, but also for past. Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Sir, have you talked to any tech leaders?
Man, well, what's going on with Europe right now? So this was 22 hours ago. I believe Europe is already considering that, and I have to scour a little bit. I think this is it. I think Trump might have done it here. Let me hear what she has to say.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal. So we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests. We stand ready to negotiate.
So they're already talking about negotiating for a 0 for 0 deal, which is exactly what they were touching on right there. They know Trump wants a deal, and they know that they got to give him a deal. It's the only way. It's the only way it's going to work. That's the only thing that's going to take place. So, we'll see. You know, somebody, I actually should go back to that thing here. Let me see if I can find it again. Somebody wrote here, one of the top comments, it says, Trump does something unorthodox. Step 2, everyone panics. Step 3, it works. Step 4, no one gives Trump credit. Step 5, repeat. It just keeps happening over and over again. And it's not complete yet because they actually have to sit down and everything. But you just see this happen over and over again. People just panic. You know, the people who want to make Trump look bad do their best to try and make him look bad. The people who have faith in him, they keep the faith. And everything ends up turning out good. Like that $1 trillion he's talking about coming in because of the tariffs, that is not going to be in the next 6 months or anything. But year after year, there's going to be about 300 million to 600 million in 600 billion, in revenue from these tariffs. So in about 2 years, there will be 1.2 trillion, maybe a trillion, maybe 900 billion, depending on who goes 0 for 0 or who decides to start building industry. So take that trillion and it'll go down based on how many countries decide to start building in America. But then it goes up in a different way because then you get jobs coming, you get people building, you get lower prices. It's very smart what he's doing. I know it's hard for some people to see because if you're staring at your stocks right now, it becomes very hard to see, but this is a very smart thing to do. And it's a long-term thing. You know, this is for generations.
Over the weekend about the tariffs.
Yeah, I talked to the biggest in the world. I talked to the biggest of them all, many of them. But I've talked to, I would say 4 or 5 that are considered the biggest. They don't, you know what they said? We don't blame you.
Who did you talk to?
I don't want to say. I'll put it out. I may give it to you.
NVIDIA CEO?
I have to find out if they mind. You know, I don't know if that was a confidential call or not, but we had 5 or 6. I've spoken to many countries. They all want to do, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing. Every country is calling and being very solicitous of us. Very, very nice. They're being very nice. And we have to be able to justify. This is not sustainable. The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion on trade. We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations. We cover them with military, then we lose money on trade. The whole thing is crazy. And I got elected on that basis. We explained it. You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media. But the media understands it. And much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
Sir,
Okay.
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate, and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
We're talking to Russia. We'd like them to stop. I don't like the bombing. The bombing goes on, and every week thousands of young people are being killed. And it's a horrible thing that should have never started, would have never started if I were president, 100%.
On the tariffs, is it a negotiation now? Bloomberg, sir. Is it a negotiation or rules of the road?
Go ahead. Another question, please.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, this is the best. I told you, when he says, "Who are you with?" That's hot water. When he says, "Who are you?" You're in. You're in. Oh my gosh. He didn't even answer the question. He didn't even take the time to call it stupid. Oh my gosh, this guy is the best. This is the best world leader in the world. There's no better world leader. There's no better world leader. And it's not just because he's leading America. This guy is just the best. The best. It's so good. Anyway, let's bring it back. Hold on. Let's hear that again.
And it's a horrible thing that should have never started, would have never started if I were president, 100%.
On the tariffs, is it a negotiation now? Bloomberg, sir. Is it a negotiation or rules of the road?
Go ahead, another question, please.
Sir,
About TikTok.
She asked too many questions.
Sir, about TikTok, there was a report that there was about to be a deal, but China changed its mind because of the
I'd
tariffs.
say it was largely true. The report is that we had a deal pretty much for TikTok. Not a deal, but pretty close. And then China changed the deal because of tariffs. If I gave a little cut in tariffs, they'd approve that deal in 15 minutes, which shows you the power of tariffs, right?
President, former New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu is saying that he'll win the open Senate seat in New Hampshire and that he has no doubt you'll support him if he runs. Is that true?
True. I told him. He came to my office, came to the Oval Office, and met with Chris Sununu, and I support him fully. I hope he runs. He's been very nice to me over the last year or so. But no, I hope he runs. I think he'll win that seat.
Sir, when we get into late summer, early fall, and people are doing their back-to-school shopping, do you think they'll have inflation to worry about at that point?
I think there's not going to be. I don't think inflation's going to be a big deal because if you look at me, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars. This is not new to me. I took in during my 4 years hundreds of billions of dollars from China. And we also took in a lot of money from other countries, but in particular China, because it was just getting started. And we had no inflation. Who had inflation was Biden. Biden had the worst inflation in the history of our country. I had no inflation. We had a perfect country. We had no wars. I ended them all. I defeated ISIS. Everything was good. And then when this numbskull got in, as they really call themselves now, numbskulls, but when he got in, bad things happened to our country, including our open border. And now we're doing very well with, we have the best numbers on the border that we've ever had.
Speaking of the border, have you talked to Attorney General Pam Bondi recently about the cases going on with the deportations?
Yeah, sure. It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in, and if they find one, now I will tell you, the one, somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Tren de Aragua. He's a member of MS-13, and therefore he should immediately be brought back. Well, MS-13 is just as bad as Tren de Aragua. So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them, he's with MS-13. Bring him back, bring him back. MS-13 is a very bad group.
Sir, how concerned?
Maybe as bad, actually.
How concerned are you about the?
They're worse. They're far worse. Far worse. I mean, the El Salvadorian, because they started in El Salvador, though that MS-13. The El Salvadorian president was talking about it with Tucker Carlson. He was talking about how there is a satanic element and a sacrifice element, and it's a wild bunch. They're bigger than Tren de Aragua. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they're much bigger, and I wouldn't say, I don't know if they're stronger, but I know they're bigger, and they're known to be, they're vicious. I could say that for sure.
Measles outbreak. There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
Well, I think they're doing reports on it. It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about. It's something that people have known about for many, many years. I mean, measles has been, this is not something new. And we'll see what happens. But certainly, if it progresses, we'll have to take action, very strong action.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other, the U.S. and El Salvador. I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
Well, I think, you're in the way of that camera, by the way. You should at least say that the camera operator should probably say that she's shooting the back of your head, I don't know why she doesn't say it. I have to say it instead.
This guy is the best. He is the best.
I have great respect for him. I know him. I've known him for a long time. He's a young leader, and he's very tough on crime. Very, very tough on crime. And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends. So, but he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
What are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to speak about tomorrow?
We're going to talk about trade, and we're going to talk about the obvious subject. You know what the obvious subject is?
Do you have any news for us on the obvious
I'm
subject?
trying to do trade just to keep it down. No, look, there's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced. You know, we had no problem with the Middle East. Everything was done. We had no problem with Iran. We had no problem with anybody. And then you had October 7th. And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money. Now they have a lot of money. So we'll see what happens.
Go back to El Salvador. The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population. Is that one of the ideas they're going to be discussing?
Well, I love that. If we could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars, if he would take them, I'd be honored to give them. I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different. If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it. But I'd only do according to the law. But I have suggested that, you know, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally? We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born. And if we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about him, all they worry about is politics, they don't worry about that. I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody to take them, I'd be very happy with it, but I have to see what the law says. Okay, what else?
Can you say, did you
You know, a lot of people don't like that take that he has about American criminals. But, you know, if you are, the things that he said, you know, pushing people in the subway cars and all sorts of crazy stuff, you know, 20-time criminals who keep just getting released and keep on doing more heinous. They keep upping what they do every single time they get out. That should be an option. That should be an option. Because, you know, it's not like it's some decrepit place. It is a pretty immaculate place. And I'm not saying it like, oh, it's glitz and glamour, but they make the prisoners clean. And it's not like a jail in the US. It's not like one of those. They make them clean. They make them do things. And they don't get too much sunlight, and they don't get any real special anything, but they have to keep the place tidy. They have to kind of have that discipline to do that. You are amongst the most scariest people in the world, and that would be a deterrent. Not saying it should happen with everybody. Not saying you're jade walking and then all of a sudden you're getting your head shaved and you're like, oh, what's going on? I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, if it happened to a few people who were just, you know, 20, like he said, 20 times, you just keep reoffending, doing whatever you want, attacking officers of the law, terrorizing citizens and whatnot. If one of those guys got thrown into that situation, a lot of people would go, oh, I should stop doing things. Right now, there are a class of people who they live in a place and they're like, oh, I know what prison I'm going to go to. 10 of my friends are there already. So I'll either just have fun out here or I'll have fun out there. Then I'll know how to get contraband into the place. I could probably have a cell phone. I mean, there's guys in American prisons. They have cell phones. They got nice clothes. They got a lot of food. They're on social media. They have YouTube channels. Some of them have Instagram pages. You go over to that place, you don't get any of that. So it would be a major deterrent. But like Trump says, I don't know what the law says about that. It might go against some part of the Constitution. I'm not 100% sure, but it would definitely be a deterrent because there's some people who they're okay with jail. They're like, oh, I'm going to go away for 2 years. It's all good. The homies are in there and they have a great time. Great time. But they're used to it. They're used to it. I've known guys like that. They're used to going in. They're like, whatever, I'll go in. I'll go in a couple of times. They're where no internet in El Salvador. I don't know what you mean, no internet in El Salvador. I mean they have the people in the US, they're in jail and they have access to cell phones and the internet and social media. None of that happens in El Salvadorian prisons. Once you're in that prison, you are not getting any cell phone. You are not getting any contraband. None of that is happening. None of that. Because the people who sneak it in, right? In America, it would be the correctional officers. In El Salvador, if you were to be a correctional officer doing something like that, you would be in such a terrible position. It would be wild. I don't even know what they would do to you out there if you were doing that for inmates. So, it's something to think about, because you need more deterrence, because it seems like people aren't deterred from doing things. You need the deterrence.
Do you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today? So
what you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand this. We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with. We have massive deficits. We've got to straighten that out, because you can't continue to be that way. It's been that way for years now, and it can't go on any longer. And we're the piggy bank. We have all the advantages. Forget markets for a second. We have all the advantages. We're going to straighten out. We're going to become a wealthy nation again. Wealthy like never before. And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made, it's been like a feast. Look, the European Union was formed for one reason. You know what that was? To rip off the United States. So put that in your bonnet. I hope you had a good flight. Have a good time.
Thank you for your time.
This guy gave her old school. That was an old school line right there. Put that in your bonnet. And he's serious about it. And he's very serious about it. I should pull up his Twitter, because he recently commented on this exact topic. Let's go Donald Trump. Then we'll move on. Somebody said that the Supreme Court sided with Trump. I'm going to get into that story. I don't have anything prepared on it, but I'm going to scour a little bit and see if I can find anything. But Trump recently said this: the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be I don't know what this is. Does anybody know what this is? A panikin? A panikin? Is it like a panicky person? I've heard a lot of people mentioning this term. He said it's a new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result. So he's very serious about it. And he's kind of talking about, short-term instant gratification. He's kind of talking around those lines. A lot of people are concerned with instant gratification. That's why they saw the stock market go down and they go, oh, that's it. That's it. It went down. It went down. Again, I've talked about this at length, but when it comes to stocks, you gotta have like a 10-year mindset about it, right? You should really have a 10-year mindset about it, about what you're doing. Unless you're in it to be like a day trader, then yeah, it all looks crazy. And then you can short some things and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. It's a mix of pan and Trump also said this. He said oil prices are down. Interest rates are down. The slow-moving Fed should cut rates. Food prices down. There's no inflation. The long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariffs by 34%. And that's the real reason that they raised their tariffs by 34%. It was a bit of an intimidation tactic, but also their markets are crashing as well. On top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, plus not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again. So that's what Trump has to say about it. And I think he's right. So anyway, let's move on real quick. 1:27:30.